Hello and welcome back to the show wearefree.tv, the place where we interview various people from around the world about subjects concerning alternative medicine, alternative healing, anything which is kind of non-conventional, different modalities to do with healing spiritually, psychologically, and of course physically. Today there's so many people who have developed their own modalities, their own ways and methods of healing. It's just unbelievable. And what we do here is we basically expose all these new interesting modalities so that people have a choice rather than going to conventional medicine and anything conventional. Going to the spiritual side and to the non-conventional and alternative often is the only way with today's pharmaceutical companies and all that. So thank you very much for everyone that has donated. If you wish to donate, then the details are up here, PayPal, etc. And also I would like to invite you to join our Telegram group, which is No Censorship TV. If you join, basically you will get a link to every video as and when it's published. Also, you can go to our website, which is wearefree.tv, click on join us, and then join our mailing list, which will also send you our interviews as and when they're published. Also, please kindly share this interview wherever you possibly can, on your Facebook, on your LinkedIn, on your Twitter. Send it to your friends by WhatsApp, share it on YouTube, etc., because that's how we can get the message to as many people as we can. Thank you very much for that. And now to today's interview. My guest is Tanya Corona, and she uses Reiki and crystals. She specializes in energy clearing and alignment. The name of the interview is Tanya Corona, Ascension, Alchemist. We're going to talk about Reiki, crystal healing, sound healing, ascension, breath, guides, angels, ascended masters, and many more interesting subjects. So, hello there, Tanya. How are you today?
Hi, Michael. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. So, perhaps you could just introduce yourself briefly before we jump into all these amazing subjects.
Sure. So my name's Tanya Corona. I live in San Francisco, work in San Francisco, and I've been doing a combination of Reiki, crystal therapy, sound therapy, and I specialize in energetic clearing and alignment. And what I do is I work with these amazing Arkansas quartz crystals. They're very high vibrational frequency, little sentient beings that have the capability to create a standing Hertzian wave in one's aura. And what that means is if you've ever made chicken soup or boiled meat and seen all that foamy stuff rise to the surface, these work like that with energy. And so what I do is I create a crystal grid around the individual's body, and I can do this via distance, I can do it in person, and the crystals basically vibrate all the discordant energy to the surface. And then I look at the person's big picture. How are they aligned with their highest potential, their highest aspects? How are they grounded to earth? And, what comes up, comes up. I read the energy, clear the chakras, create energetic pathways to put that person in their own highest trajectory, right? Their direct connection to source. And then what comes up, comes up. We talk about everything after. And
interesting. So you say that you create this field around them. So how do you do it?
Well, I use crystals, right? I create a geometric grid around the person's energy field.
So do you need to be there physically with the person and actually position the crystals around them physically, or you said you could do it remotely?
So the way that I work, yes, the person can be there physically, but the crystals do work via distance also. So Reiki is a technique of activating and directing universal life force energy, but there's also techniques to tap into the 0 point, right? So when we're tapping into this 0 point energy, this is the energy we use in Reiki for distance healing, right? So I can call to your higher self, and I'll create a crystal grid on my massage table, and then I'll energetically bring you to my massage table and have you there, and I'll work on you energetically. So I can connect with your energy field and bring you into the grid, whether you're, where are you in Tel Aviv?
Yeah, in Israel.
Yeah. So you're in Israel. I can energetically bring you here to San Francisco and work on and open up your chakras, manipulate your energy field, so you are in your highest potential trajectory.
That's amazing. Is it like to do with like quantum physics? Where if you
Yes.
like, what is it? You twist one electron on one side of the universe, then its like counterpart moves instantly on the other side of the universe. Something like
that. That butterfly effect, right? Yeah. It works very similar.
I see.
To that.
Okay.
Right. Energetically, we can be present, right? I open up that space where everything is occurring in the now moment, and everything is in a oneness. Yeah.
Okay. And you've done that. And what about crystals? I mean, what can you tell me about why are crystals? How are they different to other rocks, basically?
So the Arkansas quartz crystals, which I work with, I have a couple here at my at my disposal. The Arkansas quartz crystals are part of an energetic crystal corridor that goes all the way up and down the Sierra Mountains, and then it goes east through Oklahoma and into Arkansas. Arkansas is one of the largest clear quartz deposits in the world, and certainly in the northern hemisphere. And the crystals in Arkansas were seeded by the Atlanteans. And so they started awakening in 2000 to support this ascension process on Earth. So I was introduced to them around the year 2000. After I was attuned to Reiki, after I had my first Reiki attunement, crystals started talking to me. And I was like, you want me to what? Okay, put you in the window? Okay. So I started listening, and I was introduced to Arkansas quartz crystals at a channeling seminar I went to, and they just started talking, and showing me how to use them and telling me how to use them.
So how can they talk? They have like
well, they're sentient beings, right? Like how does an animal talk? How does a plant talk, right? There's an energetic field around the crystals that can communicate.
But is it with words, like in English, or is it like intuition kind of thing where you just know what they mean?
I think it's a combination. Like sometimes I'll hear words, right? And I think this is about, me opening up to that, well, the quantum field, of course, but also my own gifts and abilities. Right. I think that starts really gradually for each individual. Sometimes people are blown wide open, and they can all of a sudden know things and hear things and see things from the different realms and the different timelines. Well, crystals work the same way, right? They're part of the earth elementals. And when we listen, some people will have a knowingness. Some people will hear words, some people will see images, and some people will just know. And for other people, it's all of the above, right? For me, it's all of the above. Like sometimes I'll hear a word, sometimes I'll see an image. Sometimes if a crystal wants me to use it, I'll see the crystal will show me a picture of itself and what to do with it.
Yeah. So it's like channeling.
So it is channeling. You're channeling these little crystal beings.
Amazing. And what else is special about crystals? I mean, I know they like absorb electromagnetic frequencies or radiation and things like that, and they heal.
They can. They certainly can. They can store memory. they can store electromagnetic radiation. There's a lot of different crystals that you can use to, mitigate the effects of, all of this energy that we're getting bombarded with, right? From, the telephone systems to the electrical systems. And there's a lot of people who, make specific like EMF blockers that will help protect your energy field from that. Well, and of course, when you are connected with your highest being, your soul, right, and you're bringing your energy down and grounding it, mingling those energies, the earth energy and the soul energy, and sending that energy out into your aura, you also create your own field of energetic protection, right? We can all do this. This is a gift for that is within our DNA skin suit.
Unbelievable. Have you heard of the forthcoming med beds?
I've heard of the med beds. I don't really think they're available yet, but there are so many different technologies available to help us, clear our energy fields. And really, I mean, that's what's going on Earth right now, right? We're going through a massive energy clearing of lower frequency thought forms, lower frequency vibrations. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed what's been going on just the past couple weeks, but
what's been going on?
A lot of energy is being stirred up again, right? We're getting beamed with. Well, I mean, just look around the world, and the craziness that's going on, right? There's a lot of distraction from the mainstream media, right? You're alternative media, so you're delving into, all kinds of different subjects, and you're getting, more and more people are starting to listen to, the content that you're providing, and others like you, certainly, right? It's giving us an alternative, right? Instead of being on that roller coaster ride of, this kind of like crazy energy. But I think, as we're getting these coronal injections to Earth, and now we're in another energetic portal, basically higher frequency energy beams to Earth, and it opens up this, gateway or energetic portal that now causes all of the lower frequency energy to rise to the surface. I mean, I like to call it the giant flushing toilet bowl, because that's kind of what Earth is right now, where all of this lower frequency energy is just being stirred up and spiraled out, right? And it's happening on a global basis, right? Yep. A collective basis, but it's also happening on an individual basis. So each one of us, right, we have our own stuff. Right, we have our own wounded child issues. We have our, our past life issues. We have current life issues. Traumas and blockages. Right, and now, those things are being illuminated for each of us to work with individually, but also for those of us who are aware of it, to hold space for the collective processing of these lower frequency energies.
What about the fifth dimension? Have you heard of this ascension to the fifth dimension? Could you tell me about that?
So from my perspective, what I see is Earth is moving into a new operating system, right? We all use computers in these days, so I think this is a great analogy. A lot of people are living in this old operating system, right? This is a lower frequency or lower density operating system, 3D to like the higher fourth dimension, right? And so part of the work that I do is I help to plug people in to this new operating system. So a lot of people are still living on this old operating system, and you can see it, right? When you're talking to someone and there's just kind of an unawareness of their own feelings, of their own, spirituality, they're very like tied in to the matrix, right? We can call it the matrix, right? That old operating system is running on an electromagnetic grid system. The new operating system is running on a crystalline grid system. So Earth is making this transition from this old operating system into this new operating system. And I think that crystalline grid is what holds the ascension mechanics for Earth and all of humanity, right?
Yeah.
So as we anchor into that, which you can do today, right? Just with your intention, with your breath, right? It's like we're going through this transition process, and it's not it's not easy, but
Yeah.
here we're the best of the best of the best of them. We've spent hundreds of lifetimes, all of us, signing up to be here in this moment. So, I think this is where the party is.
Amazing. I'm loving it. So what kind of people do you treat? I mean, who would come to you? Somebody with a backache, or with an earache,
Sometimes.
or with cancer, God forbid, or what kind of things? Can you give examples of real
I've treated
patients?
all types of people. I've treated teenagers, and kids all the way up through 70, 80-year-olds. And I think it's just really anyone who all of a sudden says, wait a minute, I'm feeling stuck in my life and I need to do something differently. I've gone to therapy, I've gone to traditional medicine, things aren't working. How can I do something different for myself? Right. And so, I have people come to me from all over the world, from all different age ranges, from all cultural situations. People have come to me for physical issues, but also people have come for spiritual issues, to be, to get more clarity around what their path and purpose is.
Okay.
So
What
it really just
physical
depends on the
issues?
individual.
What?
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes cancer,
Yeah.
right? I've treated people who have had cancer, blood issues, diabetes, backache, spinal misalignment, torn ligaments, migraine, headaches, infertility, impotence. Reiki can work with anything. Right.
So what is
Reiki
Reiki?
does, so Reiki is the application and direction of universal life force energy. And it's an ancient technology that was discovered in, ancient India, ancient Tibet, and it was rediscovered in the late 1800s by a Japanese gentleman named Mikao Usui. And he basically got his first modern Reiki attunement at the end of a 21-day fast, where he was meditating on Mount Koriyama in Japan, and 21 days, no food, only water. And at that evening of that 21st night, his last night, he was saying, oh gosh, either I'm going to get this information or not. And he saw a ball of light coming towards him from the horizon, and it hit him in the head and gave him this experience of all of these symbols of Reiki and how to use them, and then was able to channel this universal life force energy through the crown chakra, through the heart, and out the hands, and started doing healing work. And so this tradition has been passed down since that time, through different lineages that have kind of started taught with him. And it's the application and direction of this universal life force energy, right? Ki, chi, prana, mana, manu, it's called many different things for many different cultures, but it's the electricity of life force. And what it does is it helps to remind you of your wellness, right? It's pure love. It's this energy that helps you raise your vibrational frequency and activate, you on a cellular level. And it can basically remind your body of its natural state of wellness. Right? So working with that in combination, with other techniques, it helps to rid the cells of toxins. It helps to get your body back in alignment to the energetic flow that is your natural state of health.
Amazing. So you're not a big fan of pharmaceuticals and taking different
I
drugs?
mean, no, I'm not personally, from my perspective, but I mean, that has its place as well, right? Medical technology is growing and it's changing, and I mean, I think really it's important to know that we all have free will and we all have different perspectives to look at what works for us individually. Right. And so using, when we start tapping into our intuition, we can say, oh, wait a minute, that blood pressure medication that I've been on for the last 20 years, maybe that's not supporting me as much as I think, right? Because the magic pill, it never works, right? We have to take responsibility for our own intuition, for our own health and healing. So I'm not telling anyone to get off their medication. I'm not a doctor. I don't prescribe or, diagnose, medical issues. But, I think it's really important to declare our own sovereignty, stand in our own power and say, wait a minute, this is working for me. This isn't working for me.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so speaking of other techniques, what about sound healing? I understand you do that as well.
Yeah, so sound healing is a wonderful way to add additional vibration, right, into the energetic body. And there's so much research going on with sound healing right now. It's just so interesting. I use toning, I use tuning forks and bells and chimes. And I have, crystal bowls also and brass bowls. Like the brass bowl I use is attuned to the frequency of the sun. And that sun, think about when you're sitting outside in the sun and the sunlight comes down, onto your head and it just kind of washes through your whole body, how healing that feels. Well, certain tones, right, can work in that same way to break up energy, to move energy, to create geometric patterns in the body, to bring it more into balance.
Okay. So you said that the sound raises the vibration of the what?
Of your energetic field.
Uh-huh. So the higher the vibration of my energetic field, the healthier I am?
Exactly. I think there's a chart. I'm not sure who did it, but if you look up vibrational frequencies and chart, there's a measurement that measures the vibration of hate, anger, love, bliss, joy, right? And this frequency level, right, as you become more aware, right, and have done more of your own energetic work, your vibrational frequency raises and you just become more peaceful, more blissful. Not to say that the emotions don't come up, because they do, right? That's just part of the process of being on Earth right
And
now.
thoughts. My problem
we're
is my
digging
thoughts.
up. Yeah. So I think you are not the only one. I would say 95% of people I work with are controlled by their negative thoughts and feelings. Right? And so this is a lot of the work that I do. And I mean, this is mindfulness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to understand, to be able to say, oh, wait a minute. I hear you. I see you. I hear you. Negative thoughts and feelings. Stop. Right? I'm not going to listen to you right now. And you can say, to make it a little easier, you can say, just for today, I am going to love and accept myself completely. I'm not going to listen to those negative thoughts and feelings. And when you're mindful about stopping them, the ones that run in the consciousness start to dissipate. And then the ones that run in the subconscious, the ones that you don't even consciously hear, start to come into your consciousness.
So what about neutral thoughts? I have neutral thoughts, mostly, where I just have these stupid, useless thoughts. They're not negative, but they're not positive. They're just useless. I could just be repeating a conversation I had with somebody, or I could be inventing a conversation I'm going to have with somebody. and
Mm-hmm.
maybe have not necessarily an argument, but just, maybe even boast about something. Or I could just be singing a song in my head, a tune that's stuck, but I can't
Mm-hmm.
be thoughtless, which is so
Hmm.
annoying.
That's a challenging state to cultivate, right? I mean, this is what transcendental meditation is all about, right? Coming to that space where your brain is quiet.
Hmm.
I mean, the yogis have been teaching this for centuries, right? We're all trying to learn how to cultivate this quiet mind, right, where things can come in.
Yeah.
So, it is a challenge,
Hmm.
right? I mean, try sitting in meditation and just clearing your mind, right?
Can't.
One
Tried.
one
Can't do
image,
it.
one image I really love is seeing your mind like a muddy river. When you're swimming in that river and you're up to here in the water, treading water, you can't see what's around you. But if you visualize standing on the bridge above the river, then you can see those thoughts going by and you can say, okay, I hear you. I'm just going to put you aside right now. Right. And just let that flow. And for you, since you have, continual thoughts, it might take a while.
Yeah.
So give yourself some time and
It
give
has
yourself
it
some
has taken
space.
47 years so far.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be changing. And when you say
Right.
I put myself on the bridge and look at the thoughts, I tried, but then I realized that I am the thoughts.
You are the thoughts.
Maybe
Yeah.
I know intellectually that I'm not, and I'm actually this
Mhm.
infinite awareness that's beyond time and space, and it's non-dual. But that's just just talk. It's just philosophy. I can't really
Mhm.
be it
Mhm.
unless
Mhm.
unless I've taken magic mushrooms or ayahuasca or something like that.
Mhm.
But that's not fair.
Well, I mean that you can tap into that state. If you've done that plant medicine, you always have that state within you to connect to. So you can ask the energy of the mushrooms to help you.
Hmm,
Yeah,
that's a
whether
good
you're on
idea.
the mushrooms or not. Yeah, you can say, "All right, mushrooms, I know I've gotten to this state with you before, so help me. Help me."
Interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, somebody
Yeah.
channeled exactly this message to me like 2 weeks ago. I asked them, how can I reach this? How can I get rid of the thoughts? So they said, have you ever had even a short moment where you were thoughtless? And I said, oh, yeah, when I took mushrooms. So they said, okay, we'll connect to that, remember how it felt, and just try and
Mhm.
duplicate it without it. And you just said it again. So maybe I should
Right.
start doing it, start believing in it. And I'm wondering, have you had an awakening at, at any stage of your life where you went, ah, my God, and you kind of woke up spiritually?
I've had a number of awakenings. I would say that probably my first awakening happened with when I was 9 years old, and I was in the Girl Scouts, which is a
Hmm.
organization in the United States. So we went to a Native American festival, and there was a dance that happened that we were all involved in. And after that, I went home and I was sick as a dog. I didn't know what happened, but I realized in retrospect that I had a Kundalini awakening and all of a sudden had a different perspective, right? That I could communicate with animals and I could communicate with plants, right? And I didn't, I had no consciousness of really what happened. But then I had another awakening during the harmonic convergence, right? Back in 1987, right? And then when that comet hit Jupiter in 1994, I had another one. And, so a huge
And the
awakening when I
same thing,
had
you
a
were just
Reiki
sick every
attunement.
time?
No, no. I mean, I think just a greater level of awareness,
Hmm.
of quantum awareness, right? And I think books can do this, people can do this, right? There's so many things that we've contracted ourselves to come into contact with to help us wake up to our path, to our purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after that harmonic convergence, I started reading tarot and started tapping into my psychic gifts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what psychic gift?
Well, I mean, the deep listening to spirit, right? The deep listening to intuition, right? That quantum field that we were talking about earlier, that 0 point that we all have access to. And this is the time traveler within us as well, right? Talking about clearing, how techniques to clear your mind, going back to those journeys that you've taken with the magic mushrooms. When you do that, you are a time traveler. You're tapping into your past that you can bring up to be occurring right now, right?
Why past? Why not present?
Well, it is in the present as well, right? If you are connecting with it, you are bringing it into the present moment.
And the past is what? Pre-birth, or when I was just a kid and I was just a baby who couldn't speak and had no cognition? And what do you mean?
Well,
past?
I was talking specifically about your journey for your mushroom,
Yeah,
your past mushroom
mushrooms,
journeys, right?
I felt in the now. I felt I'm like,
Yeah.
I had no thoughts. I felt I was looking at the trees and I was part of them, and I was looking at the stars and I felt no disconnection and I had no thoughts. I was like in this deep meditation in the now. So I'm wondering, when you say bringing the past, I could only imagine that when I was a kid, I was like that. When I was a baby, I felt like a baby. So yeah, in a way, I kind of brought my babiness back to the now, and I was experiencing it as an adult.
The innocent heart.
Yeah.
Right. Of the wonder and the joy of everything. Another technique that might work for you is just sitting outside and watching like bees fly in and out of a beehive, or watching, the birds nesting, flying around. Yeah. Being that present self.
Yeah, definitely. I'll give it a try. So speaking of ascension of the earth and humans, have we covered this sufficiently?
I think that, each one of us, this awakening that's happening is happening on an individual level, right? We open our hearts one at a time. And that's the individual ascension process for the human. But Earth is also holding space, right? Like I was talking about before, Earth is moving from the old operating system to the new operating system, to this ascended energy. But, each one of us has our own trajectory, right? Each one of us has our own timing, to be contracted, to be awake. Okay, let's say someone is going to come and see me and wake up today. Right. I wake a lot of people up.
You do?
Oh yeah.
Wow. That's cool
I
to
see
know.
I see when I'm working on someone, I see it as kind of a metaphor where they are on their life purpose or spiritual path. And I see it, sometimes people will start like meditating in a forest and then wake up, walk through the forest, through a meadow, cross a bridge, walk along a river, climb a mountain, and when they're empowered on their life purpose or spiritual path, I see them on top of the mountain. And a lot of people, come to me in a sleeping state, so not awakened to their divine purpose for this lifetime. Yeah.
And how do you wake them up?
So I energetically, if they have any like bindings around them, or if they're in like a pod or, detained in some way, I have some etheric tools I use to cut away their energetic bindings. And with the symbols of Reiki and the crystals, at some point during the session, everyone just kind of goes like, oh, okay, I'm awake now. And then they'll get up and they'll start on that pathway, right? Through the forest, through the meadow, walking along the bridge, climbing the mountain.
What do you mean? They imagine it?
It's images that I see as I'm working on them.
So they wake up and they're like, okay, but then they sit in front of you silently and you just sit there and imagine them walking through the forest and all that?
I see little, I don't know, projected movies of those images, right, in my mind's eye, to see where they are energetically, right? And I can also, I can see the geometry energetic geometry around the individual. I can
Okay.
see how close they are to their soul and whether they're in alignment with it. But also, I can see their multidimensional selves, right? So each one of us, we're quantum beings that, experience things on a multidimensional level. And our levels of awareness are, I guess, equal to our levels of awakenedness.
Which is very
So,
low.
well, I think overall, but it's getting higher and higher and higher,
Okay.
right? Some awakened individuals are very experiential with this. Like for me, I can see my planetary, I can see my galactic lawyer self working on Alpha Centauri, working with the galactic laws, and, a higher self working with the Council of
Wow.
Evolution, and a higher frequency self who's a dragon rider who unbinds earth bindings in, the etheric realm.
Lucky you.
So I think we all have this capability,
I don't.
right?
I would love to, but I'm
Well, I think you just
honest
need to
enough.
tap into it, Michael.
Yeah, but how? For God's sake.
Well, I mean, I think it's a process of awareness. So, like, what does your daily practice look like?
Well, I
Do you,
interview people.
uh-huh.
I eat, sleep. I
Mm-hmm.
go and do my chores, buy food and,
Mm-hmm.
get things
Mm-hmm.
arranged, to do with like daily living,
Mm-hmm.
sorted. And nothing much. I, go out on the weekends. I go, I go to nature, camping, a bit of
Mm-hmm.
windsurfing here and there. That's
Is
it.
there nature that you can experience where you live?
Yep.
Yeah. So doing that on a daily basis, right, helps you tap into that multi-dimensional you. But I think also working with someone who can help activate your chakras, open up all your chakras, activate and help you ground more in your body,
What does that
right?
mean,
Because
grounding, if I may ask?
okay, so grounding is a deep connection to earth, right? And so do you know anything about the chakra system?
I know there are 7 chakras or more, God knows how many,
Mm-hmm,
depending
mm-hmm.
who you're listening to.
Sure. So I see more chakras. According to the guy who makes the aura cameras, aura imaging, he says there's 1,024 chakras in the human body, right? That he's like a psychic and he can, see. And these chakras, they work right all in conjunction with each other. They're concentrated points of energy, really. But there's a chakra a foot below your feet called your Earth Star chakra. Right? That's at the bottom of your energy field. And when that chakra is open, it works like a docking station to Mother Earth. Think about like a wireless phone charger, right? When that Earth Star chakra is open, boop, you're connected to Earth and you start working with the Earth energy. You start bringing those elemental energies up into your body, and your body is made of elementals, right? So you start working with that energy and you have more energy, you feel less fatigued,
That's
you feel
grounding?
more connected. That's part of it, right? But I think the other part of it is bringing your spiritual energy down through your body, through your chakra system, and anchoring it into earth like an acupuncture pin, right? And so grounding works both ways, right? Bringing your spirit down and anchoring it, but also bringing the earth energy up into your body. And when you intermingle those energies in your heart chakra and send them out into your energy field, this becomes your soul signature, your sort of quantum bubble of you. And then you start being able to fortify your energy field, right? I know a lot of people talk about being energetically attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time it's because they're not even in their body, right? They take on so many other people's emotional baggage that they get overwhelmed energetically and then their spirit pops out, right? And so it's almost like running alongside of your car instead of being in the driver's seat of it.
What about being kind to yourself? What could you say about that?
I think it's everything. I think being kind and loving to yourself is one of the most important gifts you can give to yourself.
And how do you do it? Like, you obviously don't say, oh, I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? I shouldn't have done it. Stupid me. That's not a way to be kind to yourself.
No, it's certainly not. But there's a mindfulness around it, right? We're so conditioned to behave like the global narrative has coached us to behave. And if our perspective is that we're varying off of that path, then we become hard on ourselves, right? Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. Oh, why did you do that? That's a stupid thing to think, right? We tend to doubt our intuition because we're putting this other belief system ahead of our own, right? So when we start just saying, okay, wait a minute, I hear you, Tanya. I hear you saying you're not good enough. I'm going to stop that thought today. And I'm just going to put my hand on my heart and say, I love and accept myself completely. Okay, I might not feel that way in the moment, right? But I'm going to fake it until I make it. Yeah. And I think the more mindful you are when those negative thoughts and feelings come up, about saying no to those negative thoughts and feelings and saying, I love myself. I love and accept myself completely. I'm perfect just the way I am, right? Then you start to train yourself not to think that way. I had one client come back for a second session and she said, Tanya, I can't believe how many times I had to stop myself. I made little check marks in a notebook over 300 times, right? In one day, she stopped herself. And those were the thoughts that she heard.
Yeah, amazing. So what about breath? It's a pretty big subject, breath. What can you say about that?
So I think breath is a really wonderful way to connect with yourself, right? Your breath is one of the best tools you have in your human toolbox. So let's say you're late, you're running late, right? And you've gotten yourself all worked up about it. If you stop just for, under 30 seconds and take 3 deep breaths, your whole energy field is going to calm down, right? You're going to be recentered. And I think people can really whip themselves up, right, into a state of worry, a state of stress. And when we're in that state of anxiety, of panic, and of stress, we forget to connect with ourselves. We forget to be present. And so the mindful breath can bring you right back to that present space to give you a reset, to give you a recharge. And it doesn't take many. Just go ahead right now and just take a nice deep breath.
As you speak.
And feel what that does to your body. Feel how much more calm you feel, just even after one deep breath.
Yeah.
So, I think this is a great tool that we all have access to, right? Each one of us living and walking around on the planet can breathe.
We can't not breathe.
Exactly. We can't not breathe. There's different techniques that you can use, right, to help train you, right, in certain ways.
Which is
like
your
in
favorite
yoga,
one?
there's I love the breath of fire, right, in yoga.
What's that like?
Because that opens up your chakra system, really brings a lot of energy into your body. There's the Wim Hof breathing technique. There's the holotropic breathing technique. Experiment. There's so much information available, on the internet about breathing and breath. Do some Googling and do some experimentation.
Definitely.
Right? Everybody's going to work with something differently. So, what works for me might not work really well for you, might not work for, Jenny or James or whoever. I think we all have our own ways of opening up and connecting to ourselves. And that mindfulness and just being present with what feels good and what brings us joy, right? If we can start there, each individual, then we get to know ourselves a little bit more. We get to know about what works, like what foods are bringing us joy, right? When you eat something, do you feel good? Or do you get, do you get a stomach ache? Do you feel edgy, right?
Comfort eating.
Yeah.
So another subject I wanted to get into is the guides. We have our guides, I think like the angels, or who are our guides exactly? What are they?
So our guides are our personal guardian angels, basically. They are most of the time, part of our soul or our soul family. And they hang out with us. They give us messages. They try to help us to be mindful and be awake. And right now, let's be honest, there's not a whole large percent of the population who are awake and mindful about this. But the more mindful you become and the more you ask for help, right? Your guides can't help you unless you ask for help. They try to give you messages, but if you're not listening, you're not going to hear them, right? I mean, a lot of people get stuck on, I don't know who my guides are. I don't hear them. But you can just ask them for help, right? You don't need to know their names right away. You can say, all right, I call on my guardian angels to please help illuminate this situation for me. One of the mantras I really love to use is I call on my guides and guardian angels to please help me release what I need to release, open to what I need to open to, learn what I need to learn, remember what I need to remember, for my greatest good, Gaia's greatest good, and the greatest good of all.
Amen.
And so I get a lot of messages in dream time. But I mean, each person is going to have a different experience with their guides. Like one of my clients, for example, her grandmother passed away, a few years ago, and she was really close to her. And her grandmother has come in as one of her guides and, helps to give her messages. And I think that ancestors do this for us sometimes when we are learning to listen. Right? Because, I was close to grandma. I knew her. Her energy is familiar to me. And so when she comes from the other side and gives me messages, I might see an image of her in my mind's eye, and I might hear words, or I might just get a feeling or a knowingness. She might show me an individual thing, right? Like a feather or a crystal or a place or a food to eat. Right. And so then you can say, okay, I'm going to start really listening to these messages. I think the guides, the higher frequency spirits, right, they live in the etheric realm, and depending upon whether they're stuck in the old operating system or crossed over into the new operating system, depends on how they communicate with us. Yeah. But there's on Earth, on this timeline, there's different 3 timelines, right? There's the timeline that we're on, but then there's those higher frequency timelines that have like a veil through them, that the angels, archangels, ascended masters, our guides, they all live in that higher frequency timeline. And then Mother Earth and all of the animal spirits and ancestors are living in a lower frequency timeline. So we can work, we can cross through these timelines, with during meditation, with our mind's eye, with our mindfulness, with our words, right? We can call with our words. This is a name it to claim it system. When you say something out loud, it's going to have more power for you. So, we can tap into these energies. Like, think about the energies of the animal spirits. If you've ever dreamt of an animal and you woke up and thought, wow, that was a really interesting dream. I wonder if that was a message.
I looked it up on Google. Last night I dreamt about a polar bear, a white polar bear. And I looked it up, and it was amazing because it was so relevant to things in my life. And it was to do with having like an aggressive opponent that I'm meant to be dealing with, and And depending if I manage to run away from the bear, then it means that in real life my situation will be obviously resolved easily without any aggression. And if you kill the polar bear in your dream, then it means you're going to completely solve the situation. And yeah, I've dreamt about a few things. And speaking with my guardian angels, I've been seeing double figures, on the clock, like 17, 17, 10, 10. And that's also like there's websites out there that really explain every double figure, what it means, what the angels are telling me. Bless them.
They really do. And those are messages, right? Those are messages for us. If you ever wake up with a song in your head, Google up those lyrics, because that's a message from your spirit team. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And feathers, when you find a feather.
Yeah, what does that mean?
It's like our guide saying, "We're here. We see you."
Okay,
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'll remember that. I do see feathers quite a bit. Now, what about the ascended masters? How did they come into this whole thing?
So the ascended masters, they work in a similar way to, the angels and our guides, in that they are helping Earth and humanity evolve into this higher frequency energy. And, there's all kinds of messages. So one of the ascended masters, probably the most familiar to most people, is going to be Yeshua, Jesus, right? So he had a life here on Earth, and he transcended the human aspect of it, right? And connected with his avatar self. Okay, so he works now from the higher timeline to help people feel loved, right? To help people connect to their higher frequency spiritual self, right? To help awaken humanity, right? I mean, I don't know, in my opinion, love is what heals everything. So these ascended masters, right, they're giving us a lot of love. And there's a number of them working on the other side of the veil, along with the angels and Buddha. Yes, Buddha, Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Saint Germain, who is kind of like the Shokan of the violet fire, which is the most transmutive energy, I think, on the planet right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. And
so, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of them.
Yes, I see. Okay, what about sacred geometry? How does that fit in to all this spiritual?
Yeah, I mean, I think that sacred geometry is in us and around us, right? I mean, I look at someone's energy field and I see the sacred geometrics of it, right? And where almost like those lines
and flower of life and all that.
Yeah, there's the tetrahedron, the flower of life, the fruit of life, the Metatron's cube. But I think that geometry works in every way, right? Sound waves can create certain geometries. Om creates, if you tone Om, it creates geometric patterns in the energy field. And I mean, sacred geometry can be used to awaken us, but it can also be used and has been used to create systems that bind us into a certain way of thinking and believing, right? There are all kinds of dark magicians from ancient Egypt that have been, people have been trained now up through this time that created systems, especially in the cities, of geometry to keep us kind of trapped in that, hamster wheel sort of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different ways to, to look at geometry. And I mean, it's like energy, right? Energy can be used for good. It can be used for bad. What is your intention? Yeah.
Okay. And what about the 13 moon calendar?
So the 13 moon calendar, or the Mayan calendar, I've been following this calendar for a number of years, and we have 13 moons a year, right? But the Roman Empire basically said, no, we have 12 moons, and this is the calendar that we've been following, right? This Gregorian calendar for, hundreds of years. So when we start looking at time in a different way, right, we start disconnecting from these stories that the global narrative are throwing at us, right? We start being empowered as individuals instead of listening to, you have to do what you're being told to do.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And what's the Mayan calendar? It has like 26,000 years, cycles.
Yeah, so the 26,000-year cycle is also called the precession of the equinoxes, and it tracks the way our solar system moves around our galaxy, right? So the Mayan calendar, or the 13 moon calendar, has a combination of tones, 13 tones, and 20 glyphs. Like today, we are on the planetary monkey. So the monkey is one of the glyphs in the Mayan calendar. Planetary is the 10 tone, right? And the 10 tone is all about recognizing beauty, and the monkey is about play, right? So we should all have beautiful, playful days today, right? To connect with that fun energy.
Fun and games. Yeah. Let's play.
Fun and beautiful and lovely, and yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay.
So I think it tracks different energetic, the ebb and flow of the energies.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see. How wonderful. What can I say? I mean, I could go on and, talking to you for hours. It's so interesting to listen to you. I mean, I know a lot of what you're saying, but it's lovely to hear it again and to get reinforcements and reminders. And I'm definitely going to do a few things after this interview. One, I'm going to get into my breath work, which I've been promising myself to do, and maybe go out into nature more, or look at the bees, as you say, and just look at nature, not just walk in nature, but really observe nature. So thank you for reminding me of that. And now we have reached the final dramatic part of the interview, where you are asked,
dun, dun, dun.
Yes, if you please may address your brothers and sisters directly from the bottom of your heart with a suggestion, request, or demand, or perhaps a important message you would like to give them. So Tanya Corona, your brothers and sisters are listening. The stage is yours. Go ahead, please.
Darlings, love yourselves. Love yourselves. Breathe, be present, and know that your higher beingness has the ability to be grounded in your body. And if you breathe, you can just feel that energy grounding down, coming down through your crown chakra, through your third eye, your throat, your heart, down to your root chakra, anchoring in the root chakra of earth. Feel your energy grounding down so you can be present and enjoy your life, right? This is why we're here, to play, to love each other, to have fun, and to be who you are. I love you for who you are, exactly for who you are.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
What a lovely message. Very pleasant. And I enjoyed, as I said, talking to you, and I could go on forever, but our time is up. So all I could do is say thank you very much.
Thank you. It's really a pleasure to talk to you, Michael. Thanks so much.
Thank you, and good luck with everything. And to our lovely viewers, it was amazing. I'm sure you enjoyed it as much as I did. Go out to nature, barefoot preferably. Don't forget to breathe, connect to nature, love yourself, ascend, have a good ascending, and I shall see you in the next interview. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.